Pa 3 March chaka chilichonse Amalawi timakumbukira tsiku la anthu omwe anamenyerera ufulu wa dziko lino. Anthu amene ndithu anataya miyoyo yawo osati chifukwa cha iwo okha, mabanja awo, mitundu yawo kapenanso zipembedzo zawo ayi, koma ndithu anthu amene anafera ufulu wa aliyense m'Malawi muno. Ndiye ife achinyamata ndithu takhala tikumva za tsiku limeneli komanso ndithu kutengapo gawo pa ntchito m'maso zinthu zina zosiyanasiyana zimene zimachitika pa tsiku limeneli. Koma kodi tsiku limatanthauzanji kwa ife? Ndine Angelina Tsiga kuma mu studio muno sindili ndekha, ndili ndi alendo amene tikhale tikukambira nazo siyana zokhuza tsiku limeneli. Ndikulandireni pano ndili ndi Leon Matanda, welcome to the program. Komanso ndilinso ndi Tendai Banda, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Ndinso Chimwemwe Manyozo, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Ndiye tikukumbukira tsiku limeneli limene anthu anafa kufera ufulu wa dziko lino. Koma kodi tsiku limeneli kwa ife ngati achinyamata limatanthauza chani? Ndiyambe ndi Leon Matanda.
Okay. Kwambiri kwa ine ndona ngati pali zambiri zimene tikhoza kuphunzira ngati achinyamata chifukwa mwina tikhoza yambira kunena kuti munthawi yawo mwina kunalibe means of communication yeniyeni imene ikanathandizira kuti apange mobilize amongst themselves and then do the right thing as the situation was. I think pali chinthu chimodzi chimene tikhozonena mwasangasanga pamene tikuyamba program yathu kuti chimvano cha anthu amene anafera ufulu wa dziko lino pa 3 March, I think chimatipasa chinthu chifukwa anagwirizana fundo imodzi mwasangasanga because anali ndi cholinga choti apulumutse ku dziko lawo ndi mabanja awo zopsinja zimene amakumana nazo. The same situation applies perhaps in this era yoti anyamata akumana ndi zambirimbiri zimene zikuwasautsa komano chifukwa chani akulephera kuti akumane ndikumanga fundo imodzi yonezoti kodi tichokamo bwanji muzipsinja zimenezi. Ndiye ine mwina tsiku lili kundiphunzitsa chinthu chimodzi choti chimvano cha pakati pa Malawi chikhoza kusintha zinthu zambirimbiri kuti dziko la Malawi lipite patsogolo.
Ndi mmene Leon Matanda amalimvera tsiku limeneli. Nanga Tendai Banda kumene.
Nwa tsiku limeneli limakhala lotikumbutsa kuti pamene tili pano sitingakhalapo if it wasn't for these great men and women. I'm hoping they were women too.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for their work, we wouldn't have been here. So in the same light, we were saying, that was their time. So for me, I feel like we have to understand the situation we are in. Those people that time, they had fought for independence and they really got it. And for them, I would feel like Martyrdom, I think, is believing in something, whether it is a social belief or a political belief, and moving on. After independence, some had to fight for, like time in another bomb ganyet, kana kuno ana fighting ufulu or minute majoka kupita from Gamuzu kubwera ku now democracy. So now all we are saying in minutes when over democracy ndi chinthu chabwino. I don't think if we are going to fight as matters or in terms of beliefs, we wouldn't go and fight democracy because kuambiri which means kuenda bwino pano bandijani the democracy. But we have to Matters Day should remind us that in as much as these people fought with their lives, we can fight with our skills. And I believe as young people there is more potential which we can use our skills to change the system. And maybe this day should be a reflection period and also not just reflecting, a call to action in terms of young people.
All right. And Chimwemwe, how do you understand this day?
Thank you. Actually, it's very interesting because Leon and Tendai have just preempted what I wanted to share. But for me, when I look at Matters Day, it's not just a day of reflection per se. It's also a day where I'm taken back to the situation that time, and also to understand the enemy that they were fighting with at that particular time. You see that was during colonial time. There was a colonial administration. The colonial administration had its own practices. And there was a shared form of resentment to that colonial administration, as Leon hinted to. It wasn't just something that was only affecting young people or old people. It was affecting everyone. But there was a certain group of people that had to decide that enough was enough at that particular time. And in the course of fighting for their country, they had to lose not just their lives. There are some people that survived, but they lost many other things. They lost their sources of livelihood. But at the end, they had a shared enemy, which was the colonial administration. Now, coming to this time, which is in 2017, as Tendai talked about, 1993, 1994, we had a common enemy, which was the single-party system. We have fought that system. Now we have a multi-party system and we have a democracy system. The question now is, what's our enemy? And from the look of things, if I was doing a quick research, I saw that the major enemy that we have in Malawi is more or less diverse. It's social, it's political, it's economic, it's cultural. And when you say that we want to fight for our country, you just can't go with one solution to say, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to deal with all our enemies. Let's take, for example, you're talking about the enemy of hunger. How do you fight hunger? By just using one means. Let's say we decide to demonstrate, the whole country takes the demonstration. Who is going to do the farming? Let's talk about HIV and AIDS, which is also our enemy. It's taking lives, we're talking about malaria. So you see that all the enemies that we have as a country, which are shared enemies, the approach that we're going to use to deal with them is going to be determined by the enemy that we're dealing with and the people also who are in charge. And when I say people who are in charge, sometimes you think of only the office of the president. But we have to come down. It's not only the ministers. We can even go down. You can even go down to local government. So at the end, you discover that almost everyone has something that they're supposed to do, which they're supposed to be held accountable to. So when it comes to this day, it takes me back to a time where I have to reflect on my role as a person in this country, what I can do, what I haven't done, and the sacrifice or the steps that I'm willing to take for this country to be where I want it to be.
Wow. Achinyamata nzathu amene kutuza mmenewo amalonera tsiku limeneli komanso I've liked the points that you pointed out kuti in as much as these people were fighting for something, they had a common enemy. Komano in this time, in our era, the issues are so diverse. Sitting at kuwapanga fight using one thing. And there are different issues as well. Pamwe achinyamata ife ngati achinyamata tingathe kutenga bombali. Kuti I think ife titapanga mbali, titatenga bombali kumbali zinthu zitha kuyenda. I think ife titakusintha mwina kumbali ya maphunziro, ife titakusintha mwina kumbali ya ulimi. Koma zikuoneka kuti si achinyamata ambiri amene tikumakhala active kuti tikaona kuti I think ababa zinthu sizikuyenda tithandizepo titengepo mbali kuti zinthu zisinthe. Mwina inu mukuona ngati kuti nchifukwa chani achinyamata masiku ano sitikumakhala as active as we should be ndi amene Chimwemwe?
That's a very interesting one as well. One of the issues that I see is what I call a sense of entitlement. Okay, where you believe that you are entitled to something, all you have to do is sit down and wait for people to provide what has to be provided to you. So there is an employment, you're waiting for someone to create a job for you. You want to go to school, but you're not willing to do whatever it takes to get into school, even if they pay school fees for you. You want someone to be studying on your behalf for you to be in that education institution, you know. And if there was a way, trust me, people would take that way.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate part is, at some point, you still have to do something.
Yes.
Okay, you have to invest, you have to sacrifice. So when you look, even when it goes back to the issue of martyrdom, it becomes more complicated when you say people are going to die. Let's look at it in the terms of making a sacrifice. Okay, when you look at, say, you sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your money, you sacrifice your resources, you can even sacrifice your networks. Some can even sacrifice their reputation. You know, you are somebody who is a senior, you're a CEO in an organization, and for some reason that day you decide that you want to clean the streets. You're sacrificing to some extent your reputation. So we have to understand it in that context of making a sacrifice, and also understanding that we are not entitled to anything. We have to work for this country. And the fact that when you look at your document, when people are calling you, they call you a Malawian, it should tell you something about you. You have this country, this is your country. It will always remain your country. Of course, fine, you have the option of getting another citizenship somewhere else, but when they look at you still, when you get another country, they're like, you're a Malawian, and then you have to find a way of fitting into that country. Now, if Malawi is your country, it's your home, think about it as your house. You've been living in that house, there's grass, it keeps on growing, it's dirty. If you don't clean that house, who are you expecting to clean that house? And who do you blame for having an unclean house? If I walk into your house and then I find it unclean, can you blame it to me? So, I think in a nutshell, let me just stop there for now.
Okay, Tendai. Chifukwa achinyamata sitikumaoneka kuti tikutenga bombali kwambiri pa zinthu zomwe tikuyenera kutenga bombali, and he even brought a good point kuti tikumakhala ngati kuti I think wina wake atipangira. Ifeyo tikungokhala basi kumadikirira kuti zinthu zitheke. Why do you think we are like that as young people?
I think basically maybe when you say kutenga bombali situkuoneka ngati, it means there's some perception out there. So no perception, you kutenga bombali mu zinthu zake ziti. chifukwa choti tikatengera ku mabungwe ya Chinyamata pali mabungwe ambiri amene akuchita zinthu so zimenenso zoti mutayang'ana you can really be impressed kuti amene opanga ndi Chinyamata some of these things even though munamutazitenga ngati zochepa but they're actually contributing to change, and if you contribute to change, can't we say we are contributing to developing Malawi? For sure, maybe we can say we are. So I would say maybe for sometimes proactiveness mwina imachebera kwet mungatenga kuzinthu ngati zimezo zetu osati ku zinthu mwina zinazo tikatenga zinthu ngati Chinyamata utenga mbali kuchitukuko but anthu ena oti mwina they have the hunger for change amafuna tapanga china chake komano kuti mwina anyamuka ukangofusa tekeze kuti kodi olo mwina Facebook yawo kuti ayang'ane kuti magulu a Chinyamata ndachi. We find that maybe they are not doing that. Maybe they will complain. I've met people maybe who have been saying, you know what have you done for watching? But I even asked them a simple question. Do you belong to any youth organization? No. Do you know of any youth organization which exists in your community? No. Where do you stay? Lilongwe. I was like, but you're in Lilongwe, there are a lot of youth organizations. So I would like to believe that maybe we'd have to be proactive. If you are hungry for a change, sometimes I believe in not, like most of the changes that I have contributed to have been done as a group. So maybe as an individual, if we consider a young person, it would be difficult for them to come out with the challenges that are there, maybe lack of resources or whatever. But if you are in a group and you pull together your resources, I believe someone can make change. So I would say be proactive and also look out. So umuntu azabula meba wakura sebungu mene ndikuonera iweyo Chimwemwe hanga yako ukajoin organization hii. Nobody's going to do that for you. So be proactive, search for those who are doing change and maybe going to join and be part of those forces. I believe that's one way that maybe chimene chikusowa ndi kukhala proactive, kufunitsitsa kuti ndipange kuti zinthu zisinthi ningapange chani.
Leo Chimwemwe akuti achinyamata ambiri be amakhala kuti amangodikirira kuti zinthu zichitike. Pamene Tendai akuti koma beka percentage kena beka kuyesetsa kuchita zinthu zikuti kungokhalira nde inu ndimve nombali yani.
Okay, from me I think I would say kuti mukayang'anitsitsa, this is my own analysis. There seem to be a conspiracy between the older folks and the younger generation. Choyambiri mina kuti anthu amvetsetse conspiracy mene ndemu yang'ana nkhani zakashiketi. Mukang'ana nkhani zakashiketi, you discover kuti the older folks are the ones that seem to be accumulating wealth to themselves at the detriment of the youth. So for me, I think one of the things that I would want to agree with both Tendai and Chimwemwe is that I think the martyrdom of this generation should be how do we now dismantle the establishment of the older folks? Because Banda, bear with me, I will say this very, very firmly, that you can't create jobs and you can't get people to do businesses. Everything seems to be politicized. The politicians just feel, even a good initiative. We used to have YEDEF. It was a good initiative. It targeted to redeem the youth from unemployment and lack of economic opportunities. What happened? They politicized it. Not because they didn't want it to work, but they still wanted the youth to be outside the hedge. They should be outside the fence. So for me, I think the martyrdom of this generation should be, where can we have strong and courageous young people that would join the youth existence, the structures that are there, and then dismantle the establishment. Because only then we can have even increased political participation. Because political participation near youth, obviously, the National Youth Policy describes the youth as creative, innovative, and intuitive, meaning we can change things. We can go into the establishment and begin to say this policy is not sufficient, this law is not sufficient, it is not serving the youth. So only then that we have dismantled the establishment, then we can start talking about youth empowerment. Currently, there seems to be a conspiracy and we are not winning after all. Despite the people and family, but we are not winning the battle. So we need courageous young people that are going to dismantle the establishment. And then you have now to channel youth to political participation and job creation as well as entrepreneurship.
In this case, your political participation, she said, could at least achinyamata na koma esetsabe kupanga zinthu kuti tisangokhaliratu. And in case your political participation, do you think achinyamata siti kudzuka mokwanira to take charge? Like we had the YEDEF project that you talked of, and then it gets politicized and we don't do anything. We just okay, basi zachitika is, do you think kuti we have the political will to do so, to correct some of these things, or like Chimwemwe said, we're just waiting for somebody kuti basi atipangire?
Yeah, for me, I think I'll go back to the issue of the establishment, because malamulo apa no pasakuvomereza kuti wachinyamata akhoza kupanga nawo ndale momasuka, because at the end of the day you need money to campaign.
Exactly.
How come we do not have deliberate policies that facilitate wachinyamata kuti apange nawo ndale by supporting financially as well as maybe another affirmative action where you have positive discrimination to ensure that a youth person is part of the political processes. So it goes back to our instruments. Are they sufficient to facilitate that process of increased participation of the youth?
All right.
Maybe I can even add to him, like, I saw the advert for the Zodiac about, featuring upcoming political aspirants.
Yeah.
You see, the requirement is it's 35 to somewhere above.
Yes.
But you see, the youth policy in Malawi, youth are 10 to 35. So really, in terms exactly. So maybe in terms of political participation, how are we defining it?
Exactly.
We are at the hedge. How best can we go out there and influence change if we are not in the system? Maybe some of these issues can be pushed, because you see, if a cause is very detrimental to your to your lifestyle or whatever, you can easily fight for it. But you see, maybe these people see these things, and then at the end they're like, well, okay, we'll consider them, and then other priorities come and they leave it.
And then,
Yeah. So I guess.
I think just to add on what the two have said, there's a project that's running right now by the UN family, not too young to run. And when you go through their website, you look at Malawi, because I was just checking it a couple of days ago, it talks about that the minimum age of contesting in Malawi is 18, which sounds very interesting. But when you start getting into detail, you see that 18 doesn't seem to be 18 afterward. Okay? There are a lot of other diversions. I'll not get deep into it. But as they say, you see that even apart from the age being a restriction, for me to contest today, I need to pay a fee to the Malawi Electoral Commission. That fee, funny enough, is not fixed. The Electoral Commission is given the mandate to decide that fee during the elections period. Check the electoral laws, you're going to find it there. Now, for argument's sake, if you have an electoral commission which is not youth friendly, what price are they going to put? And if young people are going to get into the system, which crop of young people are we talking about? Are we talking about people like him and me? We're talking about people that have enough money. And when you talk about people that have enough money in Malawi, that's another story.
Exactly.
So at the end, you have certain benchmarks or certain gates that are being put. You have age, you sieve out. After you sieve out through age, you have fees. You sieve out. You have campaign, you sieve out. So the people that end up arriving in those political positions, they are very few. Let's talk about the youth parliament or the child parliament. How many years has it convened? It's indeed dependent on the availability of funding, which is not even government funding. It's donor funding. So when you say the youth are not actively involved in politics, have you looked at the establishment, as he said? Is it open enough to allow young people to get into it?
All right, we'll come back to that. We'll take a short break.
Thank you.
More when we come back, so make sure you keep it Zodiac. Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, I'm your host Angelina Tsiga, and I'm joined in the studio by a couple of young people with whom I am discussing issues to do with martyrdom and young people of today. How do they understand this issue? So please be with us. Don't go anywhere. Chimwemwe.
Yes.
Nakudula ukugamba nkhani ya zokuzana politics.
Yes.
You said, from what I got, it looks like they are giving us the chance to participate in these things, yet there are so many restrictions behind.
Yes.
Please care to expound on that.
Like I was saying, one of the ways that they have tried to introduce for youth participation in the political system is a youth or child parliament. It still remains complicated whether it's a youth parliament or a child parliament, but anyway, let's just call it a youth parliament for the sake of this argument. My question has always been, after the youth have these discussions, they make recommendations or they make suggestions, what happens next? And I'm sure Leon might be able to to help us understand what happens to the recommendations that are made after the Youth Parliament convenes.
Yeah, usually they call them resolutions. Yeah, so they make resolutions, and then normally you would expect that there should be a specific parliamentary committee that processes that, and then they feed into the main parliament, because that's where there's allocation of budgets and stuff like that. But this was office with the currently the beso committee and many imatsindika when with the youth parliament. Zipite ku parliament yodi, it's specifically looking at those so that the Sango Kanga ticking the box could the Antanabanga Youth Parliament where resolutions, and that's it. Currently the status should we only tick the box. And then because I want to Zanga Chimwemwe, when was the last time they met? They've been 2 years in between. There hasn't been any parliament youth parliament sitting. Now it just shows lack of seriousness and the absence of the instruments that would enforce with the resolutions. I mean, a young youth parliament. They should be processed and then they should be binding. These are the things from the last parliament year youth. There was burning issues. And then they were processed, nothing, no feedback, nothing. So even if parliamentary feedback, where were they supposed to feed it back to? Because there was no follow-up parliamentary sitting here youth. So it shows that the conspiracy really exists. I'm often okay, like cosmetic, like smoke screen, what but no effect at all, So we have no clear-cut, roadmap to say participation in the people, because once you do the issues, assuming I'm a young parliamentarian, so I'm coming from my constituency, 100% my issues are Nyamada. Okay, raise these issues. We want government to create jobs, for instance, and then it comes as a resolution. So where do these things go? There's nowhere where these things are going to be processed, and then there's a policy being informed that this is a policy which has been generated from the resolutions. So that's the whole gap. Adding to that, we have also Malawi Human Rights Commission. There's no specific directorate of the youth, and these are rights issues. The youth are entitled to a variety of rights under the Constitution of the Republic, but those are not monitored by any because there's no directorate of the youth. So these are the issues as martyrdoms of this generation. I think we should be fighting for.
Maybe you said there were burning issues that were raised in the last youth parliament, and did we try to probe the authorities? These issues can be looked into?
I know there's what is called the Variant Campaign, which is a collection of different networks that have come together and tried to lobby if at least we can achieve to establish a specific parliamentary committee, because I think this was the motivation to say, how come we had the resolutions and nothing happened? I don't know how far they have gone, but the response I got informally from Parliament is that it's expensive to have a separate committee specifically on the youth issues. So I told them, if youth are the larger proportion of the population, why are you saying it's expensive? It shouldn't be expensive. So I hope they'll be. They said, okay, if you have a donor who can finance the committee and stuff like that. But to me, that's not the best response, because the youth are 65% of the total population.
And we don't belong to donors, we belong to this country.
Precisely the point.
Exactly. Okay, I'm just thinking, maybe if we can't be given that space, there are activists in this country who fight for issues. They rise up and talk about these things. As youth, why have we not taken it upon ourselves to join these people? Tendai, you want to first take that?
Okay, I think, like as he's saying, in terms of maybe campaigns like Tendai youth campaigns, and also like for an activism, I think you can take it in the extreme way or in the in a way where you're trying to believe in something and raising voices and do it and calling for action. Like if you look at maybe most of the people who were trying to speak out about the marriage age, like I think most of them are also young people. So you know, maybe we can say, let us also create conditions where we can mentor other people, because nobody, as we are saying, no one is going to do that for us. So maybe as young people who are active in these issues, I don't want to call them activists, those who are very active in these issues, maybe if they would take up, like those who are budding to say maybe they write about these issues a lot and saying, okay, how best can you ensure that your voice is heard and we are actually calling in for change.
Okay, so you mentioned something about being an extreme activist and Mwina Jan. I'm forced to believe that Mwina, because we're not that extreme, Mwina we are being sidelined. Maybe, don't you think maybe if we were on that extreme end of things, in our favor?
Okay, I think for that, I would say it's not a problem which is only common to young people. This is a problem which is common to all of us Malawians. Kumajiriga things like the demonstrations. Do you think people who stay at home don't believe in that cause? They do, but they will only let them go because they are afraid. They are afraid to go and maybe be injured. They are afraid to maybe go and die. So maybe we should say, as we are Malawians, maybe it's time to also rise up. And to rising up, in essence, do you want to choose your side? Do you want to be those who are going to be very radical, or you're going to be those who are going to strategize their move, use the existing like policy opportunities, and then be able to initiate change? Like, you know, there have been advocacy issues where people have advocated for something and in the end it actually turned out in their favor. So should we say when you do that you haven't done anything? You have. It's still powerful. And I mean, the way things are right now in a democracy, there are also rights and responsibilities. For every action, you're going to face a consequence. So I guess you have to be smart in every battle that you do. Notice your surroundings and be smart in essence that you use the zimene uli nazo kuti upindule ndipo upange chimene wewe ukukhulupirira.
All right. And Chimwemwe,
I would like to agree with Tendai. I think it's an issue of being strategic. You know, the way the system works, it has loopholes. Okay, it has loopholes, and as young people, you might say, okay, let's take it to the streets, but then you end up getting arrested. I mean, I was at Chancellor College. I know how demonstrations go. And I know how some issues have been resolved through a demonstration. Some issues have just ended up, the school has been closed and nothing happens. And then you start to reflect on whether that action that you took was the right action. And as Tendai was talking about, there have also been issues where I would call it diplomatic advocacy, where you have been strategic, you have known the right people to engage on issues. You know, he was talking about the parliament. There are specific committees and there are specific influential people in those committees. If you're able to have a buy-in on those people within the committees, you might be able to advance your agenda even faster than taking it to the streets. Because even if I were the president today, you know, when people go to the streets, it's very difficult for me to understand what they want. Okay? And also get it this way. Where do you drop your petition? Do you drop it at my desk as a president? No.
At somebody else's office.
You drop it at somebody else's office with the expectation that that person
would
Now, assuming that person is afraid of the office of the president, are they really going to transfer that document or get it to whoever is responsible?
Probably just sit on it. And
so for visibility, we have done good work, we have had good t-shirts and everything. The world says young people are doing stuff. But at the end we go back, nothing happens. And the last time I checked, when we are doing any action, especially here in this country, it should be something that leads to a positive result. You remember the enemies I talked about earlier, you know, we're dealing with those enemies. And what we want is to see this country move. So yes, there are some times that you might need to demonstrate, but as you're demonstrating, also remember your rights and your responsibilities. If you break the law, I have no problem imagine somebody being arrested because they broke the law during a demonstration. I've had issues, of course, we have debated, but if somebody breaks the law, they break the law. It shouldn't be selective application of the law. So if you're demonstrating, make sure that you're within the confines of the law, which is actually, there's a lot of room within the law when you're demonstrating. So I think for now, let me stop there.
All right, I'll come back to you, but first let's hear from Leon.
Okay, I want to start thinking that perhaps Malawi has not been able to create critical mass amongst the youth. Instead, they've created fearful mass. You remember July 20th? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? How many people died? 20 people died. Why? It's because they were questioning, the decisions of government. There were 20 of them. Some of them were affecting youth directly, but some were affecting the youth indirectly. But you have a situation where, people died, and then now you're saying, okay, we have issues, burning issues, which need redress. And then you have the channels which seem to be, providing the right avenues for you to advance your agenda, Okay, if Malawians, if youth in this country have to demand that jobs have to be created for them, which is the channel. So, you find that, you have to go to the DC's office, and then from the DC's office, it's an elongated process. But then, at the end of the day, the points that he's raising, I seem to agree with them, to say, perhaps we have not been able to mobilize as many youth as possible, so that they fight the cause, the common enemy. That's what we identify. We seem to be fragmented. People seem to say, okay, that's what you want, not what I want. And the differentiations that are there perhaps are also caused by political differences, the political divide. We have too many political parties. We have situations. Kumanena kuti maliro awa ndi IMCP kapena UDF kapena ndi DPP or something maliro. Okay, meaning people want to say, okay, if Chimwemwe or Tendai is going to Nsiriza village and they say, guys, this is our cause, let's fight it, they'll first ask him, what political party are you? Yeah, so that's where I think we have gotten all wrong, because if only we were able to say, there's a demarcation, there's a dividing line. So this is politics, this is social issues. If I don't have a job, if my neighbor doesn't have a job, that's an issue. It's not a political issue. So these are the things that perhaps we should be going out to say, let's remove the political divide. Let's speak as one Malawi, one nation, nationalism, and then say, where now do we advance our agenda? That's perhaps, I think we should be looking at, where do we advance our agenda? There must be systems that permit the youth to channel their problems. Currently, zero. Because you see, you have to take it to the DC.
Exactly.
Yeah? So the DC, he says, what if the DC is not willing to process your petition? And then you have situation. Politicians have to open up. Political officers have to open up. For me, the minister has to open up. The president has to open up. The presidential advisor on youth affairs has to open up, because he must hear it for the first instance from the youth themselves. What is it that they want? Other than that, I think we have diluted information which goes to the responsible, the duty bearers. Yeah.
So we have a critical mass versus a fearful mass. We are more of a fearful mass than a critical.
I can add to the list of the 20 July, you have Robert Chasoa. He talked about Matafari. Those Fanikizo people, those were extreme activists. They were able to speak their mind to say, this is wrong, we need to have solutions to these issues. What happened?
Gone.
They're gone.
Yeah, and then we get to be the fearful mass.
Not the critical.
No. But then he said our laws provide room for us in which we can express our concerns, and which includes those long procedures and everything. Maybe do you think, in as much as there are long procedures, but have we done enough awareness to let our youths know that there are these procedures that we can follow to express our concern?
Well, I'll quickly just respond by saying that I wish political parties knew that after elections, let's not talk politics, let's talk development. If we had politicians that were thinking that way, they would have had the president of the NCP, the UDF, bringing together the directorates of their youth to say, you guys, what are the issues? And then they take those issues and then process them, and get, solutions to those issues. Currently, it's not the case. We're still divided. They still think, okay, if Chakwera is the one who's going to address these issues in Parliament, then he becomes as a star for the youth. If it is Atupere Mulus to do that in Parliament, then he's going to get the credit for doing that. I think it's time that we have to depoliticize this agenda of youth development by saying, politicians, once we have elections, let's bring the youth together, let's hear from them, and then we process their needs and then give them solutions.
So in other words, it has to start from
At the
above
top,
there.
yeah.
All right. So as youths, I would just like to ask you this one question. We know there are all these issues that we would really want to see change in the country, but izinto zambiri zomwe tikumakhala ndithu tikukamba masiku ano koma nthawi zambiri achinyamata tikumangothera nkhawa zathuzo pa social media koma kuti tipangeko kanthu kuti mwina zomwe ndayankhula pano pazi nditakapezeka mwina mubungwe lina lake la achinyamata nkuyankhula izi mwina tingathe kupanga push for something that would, you know, see the benefit of the anthu ambiri m'Malawi muno koma no timangoyankhula pa social media paja and zimatherapo mukuona kuti zimenezi zitithandiza ngati achinyamata mdziko mwathu mwina Tendai.
Nkhani imene tinazakambirana ko ndi Joabu. I think nkhani yoti chimene manena ndi choti vuto limakhala zoti mukuneyo ndi achinyamata okhala achita zimenezi koma even achikulire ma MP wa ma activist wa zikangochitika zinthu alesera wakhala pa Facebook koma zimene zachitika izi wapya ukutu chani because social media has presented an opportunity where people can express themselves without, you know, being judged, or maybe if someone can judge you can easily say, oh, that's my opinion. So I mean that has presented itself as an opportunity for expression, and everyone is trying to use it kudi ine kudi ndiyankhule ndikozo kwankhula pa Facebook zimene ndikurani ndikufuna. So I would say mina ndivuto limene lilipo loti kodi zikachoka pa Facebook upa zitapita kuna kwake nkutheka zingatithandize koma if people engage in discussions, for me, I don't think discussions are bad. I don't think debates are bad because it's through the debates for many people some constructive ideas. I've seen groups or campaigns which have been formed out of my discussions after and what Facebook at the end of the day they have said, okay, so what can we do? Or baliso antwena ura mari muthu akangweka post amapita pamene pacho kodi banje mungu lemba isisi, what have you done? Shouldn't we say those things are helping to even start this critical mass which we're talking about, to say, okay, you know, you don't just have to talk, you have to go beyond your words. So I would say venting on social media is not bad, but it has to go beyond koditika dandaulamo. What can we do? As I'm saying, mina ngati ndekha sindingathe kuti ndikazipititse zinthu zapasogolo koma if I join forces with other people, and that's where we are saying the organization. For me, I feel the organization can even start in a group of young people. It doesn't have to say kuti okay tose libweba chimodzi ngati Malawi. I mean, you know, that's expensive and it's very hard, and most of the times it doesn't happen in a country which is poor like Malawi. But I would say wherever we are, let's use, you know, tikadandaula muja tizitoganiza kuti kodi ababa ndimene ngapange njani, and join hands with other young people who are already doing something to ensure that it's going beyond social media.
I like kuti unena kuti from my understanding unena kuti yes kuti social media yoti mango pita mamebo nkuyankhula zathiramo, at least something good is bound to come out of it. Koma no mwina tiyang'aneso mbali yoti ndikanthawika ngati mwina ndikokwanira kotani pamene zinthu zinayamba pa social media kupezeka kuti they have birthed something tangible kuti cholozeka kuti ichi I think chinapita pa social media.
Tingakambe chitsanzo chanji ngati poyambira I think time ine timakamba, of course it didn't fall a lot here in Malawi, like fees must fall. Most of that has been like most of the in terms of mobilization was done on WhatsApp, Facebook, and actually chairman of physio muna sina tsiwe when mena mafunire, but maybe that was a missed opportunity because I mean everybody was excited, let's do something. And maybe as you are saying, we should learn from other countries, like for example South Africa. You know, the fees really fell because after social media and to adjust, they were, you know, they social media are very powerful. Kubanga raise their awareness or whatever. And I think what we realized from our discussion, you know, the recent statistics, I don't know, but at that time I was going to Facebook. So we were saying, okay, so really, so really, should we say this thing? Really, I mean, that's a start. And maybe if we did that survey again, we would find that those ratings have right? So maybe that's one way we should learn from other countries. How are they using the hashtags? They call us the hashtag generation. And maybe we can go beyond, you know, to use the hashtag as other countries have done to ensure that change happens.
I think I will just add an example of the recent abductions and killings of persons with albinism. Most of the material that was shared through social media. And that anger which came during that time, actually it was because of the mainstream media and the social media. So people were able to know that people are being mercilessly killed, abducted through the hashtags that came. There were posters. There was a lot of stuff that was going on social media. and you could actually sense that anger. So for me, I believe that social media is doing there's some progress in Malawi. There was even a time Henry Gajaji posted something to do with, I think it was First Merchant Bank. There was a bin outside, and then he followed later. He posted that the manager actually had to instruct people to clean it up. So and then there was an issue of Airtel. There have been several instances where somebody puts a complaint online, and then the responsible person sees it, and then it's addressed.
Recently, that date thing, 22th, there was
Yes.
yeah, but that was changed.
That was changed. So you have that feedback system that's there. MHub now is working on Nzinda project, and they are trying to find a way of also linking it up to social media. So that when you raise a complaint, because the issue is they want to be directing your complaints to the responsible officers. The only thing now they're working on the keyword search, so that when you raise your issue, they're able to know who they have to direct the issue to. The only challenge they're facing is sometimes we are not specific. We just say, lero kwaboa. Kwaboa chani, waboa ndani, you know what I mean? So there are those issues that there are ways that people are trying to find to use social media to advance change. And also, personally, I believe that social media has helped us to some extent vent out some of the anger that we have. You know,
Good for
which is good for mental health. You know, you're frustrated, you write a long post, you have a discussion with people, in as much as nothing comes out, but you feel good. Okay.
I think from my angle, I would say social media has provided a platform for building conscience. Conscience. What do I mean by that? For some time, I've begun to believe that Malawians are humble people, but gradually they become very, very angry.
Yeah.
And the social media allows them to get the conscious belt, gradually, because the way he's saying it is quite true. I think Malawi would have had more criminals than the situation is now, because people are angry. They say anger is what creates rapists. Anger is what creates robbers, and so on and so forth. But the social media has provided that ventilation that, when you're in that state of mind, you should be able to vent out, and then you get better. But at the same time, Malawians are building their conscience. Believe you me, someday they'll speak up just like they spoke in 1993 and 1994. Because they know what is wrong now, because we're sharing information consistently. And we're also, correcting each other. If someone is angry in the wrong way, because you've posted it, you get corrected. And then at the end of the day, we are now building the right basis for our anger, and sooner or later, we're going to demand what is right for the youth of this country.
Because as we were saying, maybe what was lacking was that bridge, which MHub is trying to provide in terms of the app that they are doing. So what if we had more of those apps? Because as we were saying, just being angry. Like, I can give you an example of a movie, Angry Birds. The birds became angry. After being angry, they did something. So maybe we need to be angry, but let's direct the anger to the right authorities. How can we do that? By those apps which say, Facebook, WhatsApp, or whatever is there, to Twitter, let people, express themselves. But that expression won't go anywhere if it doesn't reach to the right people. So I guess let's promote things like those.
Leon was a point ya anger. Could through social media you're soon good, hey, Malawians get really angry, and they vent their anger there. But do you think, Mwina, as a nation, are we angry enough to want to see change in this country?
I think you share the right amount of anger. What levels do we have to be for us to act? It's subjective. I think it will vary from one person to the other. But what I would say very firmly is that Malawians, particularly the youth, are substantially angry, because you see, if you're freely walking in the streets, you hear people debating about the issues that are happening in this country, the corruption levels. It's unthinkable one person would keep that amount of money in his house. You go to issue of how politics is being managed. They speak about them, the way generally the economy is being managed, the issues of Kairegera. People speak about these issues. Okay, they say Zodiac is the best. They also say because it's giving them the platform for them to speak out. So, they know what is the right thing for them to speak about, and I would believe that the social media has done a lot of facilitation in that regard. But sooner or later, believe you me, they will erupt. Yeah, I caught me. They will erupt very, very soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So now, from our discussion, is that basically Sukudi ajinyamata timakaudi were just docile like that. Kuti timango kanga kumayanganira zinthu. Of course, in some other cases, mwina adi timango kala ndukumayanganira. Kuma most of the time, we are at least doing something about it, either on social media, kapena somewhere in the background. Mwina so our laws kind of gagas. We can't really flex. Kusbanga express. Komano, we've also seen some young people who were willing to do whatever comes. I have to speak. I have to rise up and fight against whatever cause I'm fighting for. Now, I would just like to know from you people, would you be willing to die for your country?
Who has to start?
Yes.
My answer is yes and no. Yes, when there is a particular cause that I have to fight for, and I'm certain that my death is going to result in something positive. But if my death is just a waste of time, then why waste my life on that particular cause?
Yeah.
And again, it will not be, let's assume it's fighting for death. It's not there just to put your name in the history records and stuff. But it's because you're doing something that at the end is not only going to benefit you, it's going to benefit the countries. Like in my case, one of the things that I would say firmly is to have a vision for Malawi, which at the moment, I haven't yet found something which tells me about the vision of this country. I've read several documents, but we seem to agree on seem to be conflicting. So I don't know what's the vision of this country. So maybe my colleagues will help me understand the vision of this country. Because until we get to a point where we know where we are going, we know where we are, we know where we're coming from, but it seems we don't agree on where we're going. And every person who comes, they seem to have their own definition of where we are going. And if we find a way of having a plan, a clear plan for this country, I'm not talking about a political plan as Leon put it, for this country. By this time, we expect to be here. So that when a president, a minister comes, all they do is, we already have a plan in place, they have a job. If you're basing their performance, you're not gauging them on their manifesto, you're gauging them on that national development plan.
Awesome. Tendai, would you die for this country?
As we are saying, we are taking the understanding of martyrdom as sacrifice for something. So if I have to sacrifice myself for something I believe in, I think I would be a happy person, because there have been stories of people who have died from maybe rescuing children, who were, maybe there was floods. This country is always marred by floods. Maybe not always, but most of the times. So maybe children are going to school, they were stuck somewhere, and there's someone who went there to save them, and maybe they got they drowned. So if I die for that cause, I'll be very happy. And all I'm saying is, wherever we are, we would really like the change we can make. Maybe we might not be politicians one day, but the change that I make in his life, that's a sacrifice that I've done. If I make it to maybe 10 people and I get broke in the way, haven't I been a martyr? I have, because I've sacrificed what I have for the betterment of other people.
Well, I think there can't be any better response than the response that my two colleagues have provided. If there was a clear reason for someone to die, I think that's the best answer that my brother Chimwemwe is providing. Malawi is a beautiful country. It's just that we've not let it become beautiful as it's supposed to be. Because for me, it's the issue of, have we been able to provide education for our children and the youth? Have we been able to provide quality health services for our country? Have we been able to eliminate hunger amongst us? Have we been able to create the jobs and generally to provide economic opportunities for our youth. Those are the things that have to be envisaged in the development agenda that he's speaking about. We had the Vision 2020. Nobody knows where it went.
It died a natural death.
Malawi is a signatory to a myriad of legal instruments. Those are the instruments that should inform Malawi to say, where do you want to be in the next 20, 15 years? But we haven't been able to. Even Zodiac was hosting a presidential debate at BICC. Each of the presidential candidates was profiling, excellent visions. How come we didn't sit down and consolidate all of those? We lost an opportunity. For me, I think we have come, as a country, we need just to state, let's have a development agenda to which all manifestos of political parties must subscribe to. If a president comes from any political party, then he is implementing his manifesto, which is being motivated by the national agenda. That way, the way Chimwemwe is putting it, it's fantastic. I think I can permit myself to die.
All right.
Other than that, I love my life.
All right, guys. Actually, thank you so much for joining us here today. Well, I'm really glad you were able to make your time and come here and participate in this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, so that's it about Martyrs' Day and the young people being able to take part in the development of our nation. Others would be willing to die for this nation only if there was a good cause to die for. Oh well, Martyrs' Day presents us with a chance to reflect on the ideologies, sacrifices, and all that the martyrs died for. Are we upholding their ideologies? Would they be happy to see the Malawi we are living in today, the Malawi that they died for? Food for thought. My name is Angelina Ziga. Till next time, it's goodbye.